Okay. Welcome to the Good in the Head podcast. Today's guest is Charles Baldwin. He is the creator of a community called, why don't you introduce it, Charles?
Okay. Struggle, grow, succeed.
I love that.
Yep.
In that order.
In that order.
Charles and I met online through Facebook, and we were talking about it before the show started, and we're not sure exactly when or where, but obviously it was meant to be. We've become great friends over the last year to year and a half, and commented quite a bit and joined each other's groups and support one another a great deal. And through his support, actually, maybe I don't think I've told you this, but you're kind of the reason I decided to pull the trigger on the Good in the Head podcast and get going.
Awesome. That's great.
We discussed, I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year ago, how to do it. And we were talking about it. And with the whole COVID crisis, or whatever you want to call it, everybody was indoors, and it was a lot easier to learn how to use Zoom or Skype and different technologies to do things like this. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I'd like to, if we could, just basically start out this podcast with a background history of you personally, your story, how you grew up, how many kids were in your family, different struggles or difficulties you grew through, and what you learned from them.
Sure. Well, I come from a family of, there's four of us. I had one brother that was stillborn, so there would have been 5 kids. So I had 2 sisters, 1 brother. All I have left at this time is my one brother. He's 5 years older than I am. I was raised in a loving home. I don't have horrible stories to tell like a lot of people do. It was a Christian home. I went to church a whole lot growing up, and we didn't have much, but I didn't know it. And that was the funny thing about it. I just knew my parents said no more than most other parents did. But I filled my life with, going in the woods and doing things. I was an outdoor kid always. Loved my bicycle, loved fishing and things like that. So I spent most of my time outside, but we were stationary till I was about 12 or 13. And then my parents were missionaries. So they become missionaries, and we moved to from North Carolina. That's where I'm from. I guess you can tell by my accent. We moved from North Carolina and went to Florida, and my parents done some work there. And after about a year of being in Florida, this mountain boy got to missing the mountains and the water so bad.
Understandable.
I mean, it was incredible. I would just crave to climb a mountain or see white water. Nothing against Florida, but that was just in my blood. So eventually, thank goodness, my parents moved back to a small community in North Carolina that was absolutely beautiful, way back in the sticks, as they say here. And but it was a good place to grow up. I started about at 14 and graduated school there in Nantahala. And so there was not much to do there. And after I graduated school, I had to move to Asheville to get a job or to get on with my life. It's kind of funny. You seem to me to be a very well-educated person. My parents never mentioned college to me, so I didn't even think about college. And I'm sure it was because one reason is they couldn't afford college, but I just knew that it was time for me to go to work. I was 18. I left home and didn't want to go back. So time to go to work. And so that's kind of how my life went. I was, from my parents' church, I learned to play the piano. So I'm a musician. I play the piano and the bass guitar, play the rhythm guitar. And I try to play everything that I can get my hands on, but I'm just not really good. I guess the piano is my best instrument that I play, but it's had a big effect in my life.
So from the point where you moved out on your own and started working to when you met your wife, I'm guessing being out on your own and not being as protected anymore by loving parents and having that environment, that maybe you began to learn on your own and do things on your own, and that's where some struggles in your life began. Is that, it's just an assumption?
No, yeah, it was. I've always had a problem. My wife always tells me that I've got too much pride and I'm too stubborn. I don't ask for help, and that is so true. I have found myself doing things, Pete, and taking so long to do it because I want to learn it on my own. And if there's anything I've learned from others is you can't do it by yourself. And so I am working on breaking free from that and taking some courses from other people and trying to learn. But yeah, I struggled. I struggled as a young person. You know, I was one of the young people that had to have people live with me so I could make it. I didn't find my path as far as a career goes for several years. Um, I think I switched jobs every year trying to find something, you know, that I truly enjoyed.
That's awesome. I think that everybody ought to do that. That's a really great way of being. And I've got to say, we've got such similar backgrounds and histories. I mean, I was
Really?
raised very religiously, and when I moved out, that's when my struggles began. And same as you, I'm just now almost 50 and trying to break out of, all the stubborn, I want to do it myself learning,
I know. So,
And was it Tom Bilyeu actually repeats this often, and I love it. He says, "A stupid person never learns from their mistakes. A smart person eventually does, but a wise person will learn through the mistakes of others."
others. Yeah, that's
And
beautiful.
I find a lot of wisdom in that. And I'm like, okay, I'm finished being stupid. I just need to start being smart and wise. And I've tried to expand into that realm lately.
Absolutely.
And thanks to
Absolutely.
people like you, it makes it easier. You're right. Together is better, like Simon Sinek says.
It
And
is.
and just an example of that, you said you had people move in with you so that you could afford, living expenses. I think that is something that in the near future is going to be coming up a lot more because of the housing industry,
Yes.
especially here in Arizona. I don't know how it is there, but holy mackerel, it's
Oh,
insane.
yeah, it's exploding here. I mean, you know, Asheville seems to be the place that everybody wants to land after they retire or sell their expensive homes in either in New York or in Florida. We're just like right in the middle of the South, so
Mhm.
we have all kind of different weather, and it's a very liberal town, so it draws people of all kind. It draws people who love to hike and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. It draws people, you know, who are very liberal. And so over the years, I've seen Asheville change a lot. Um, but yeah, the housing industry here has just exploded. I know it's going to cap out at some point, but I just retired from being a manager, training manager at a car dealership, and most every one of the young people that came to work there, you know, in their early 20s, were living with other people. Some with two or three just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's going to be a tough thing for a while, I'm afraid.
Wow. I've got a friend at work. He and his girlfriend have been looking for a place, and they found the perfect spot, the house they wanted. It was their dream home, and it was a little far away from work, but they put an offer in, and they actually went 70,000 over the already outrageous price that they were asking for the home. And somebody came in and bought it at over 100,000 more, and took it, and they had to go find an apartment building, which is also outrageous. So yeah, I mean, together is better, and we all need to learn somehow to work better together. And I don't know if it's the social media, the effects that everyone has suffered through comparisons or what's going on, but it really seems like in general we've experienced de-unification, like a total separation in so many ways from other individuals, and just in general. And I'm curious what your thoughts are as to unification of people. How can we build a community? How can we get along better with others? Are there any tips or tricks or habits or perspectives or beliefs that have really empowered you to do that in your career and in your life?
That's a very good question. I I really do believe that unification is better, and it seems like today, um, in society, in the political world, it seems like we're more divided as a people, as a country, as states, even as communities than ever before, and I just find it very counterproductive.
Mhm.
I sung gospel music when I was growing up after I got married, and um, we went to a lot of different churches. So um, we would go to, we were non-denominational, but we went to all kind of churches to sing, and it didn't matter to me. I could care less, if they differed in a belief here or differed in a belief there, and I feel like that set the groundwork for me being able to get along with people who don't agree with me. And I had some people say, "You mean you go sing at one of those churches?" I said, "Yeah, I mean, I'll sing in a prison. I'll sing anywhere that they'll let me sing." And I think that mindset helped me to know that you don't have to agree on everything, because I don't know anybody who does. But you need to respect, and I think it opens up a good conversation between people. If there is a disagreement, um, if both parties are thinking the same way. So yeah, unification is great, and difference in beliefs, I think, is good, because it kind of it puts you to the test of what you believe, for one thing, and it maybe open your eyes to something that you've never seen before.
It's true. I've found that my perspective has widened and my mind has opened the more willing I am to allow people to disagree with me and not resent them for it. Just last year, a good friend of mine, Billy Scott, he was on one of the earlier podcasts, and he mentioned something that I had never come across before. And it seems simple, so it might sound stupid, but it was the belief that it's okay to disagree. I was never taught that. I was always, maybe that's an incorrect terminology. I'm sure my parents and everybody around me taught me so much more than I ever know.
Right.
But what
Yeah.
I perceived I was being taught was, no, it's not okay to disagree. My way's the right way. It's all black and white. There is a right and wrong. There is a good and bad. And it's very clear to me what that is. And my way is the only way. And that
Sounds like my
stubbornness,
racing.
oh, that's a great way to destroy a friendship, unification, and oneself as well. I've
Yeah.
spent years in that until
Yeah.
recently. I'll be honest. I'm an infant. I'm starting to grow up finally.
Isn't that something? The older we get, we seem to learn more that we thought we already knew. There was a saying that someone had said, the older I get, the wiser my dad got. You,
I
you
relate to
start
that.
yeah, you start realizing he wasn't that stupid after all, because growing up, everything was that your parents said was not right. But um, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I always tell people who knew my mother, she was one of those people. It was either black or white. There was no gray when it came to my mom, and it served her well in what she was doing, I guess. But I have found, she's passed on, and she would have a hard time with the world in the shape it's in today. And I think we have to change. I know you talk a lot about mind shifting and looking at things from a different perspective. In order to survive and move forward today, you have to really have that type of mindset. You still know what your beliefs are. You know what your values are. You're not going to, you know, move away from them, but you do have to be able to open up your mind in order to understand, just to understand what the issues are.
Why is it that you think that people refuse to move away from their beliefs and keep their minds closed? Is it for safety's sake? Is it just more comfortable? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a home base. I think, when all else fails, they fall back to that. no matter what it is, if it's in religion or politics or whatever. My mom was this, my grandfather was this, my great grandfather was this, and I'm this too. But the thing about it is, and I think the danger of that is, they don't know why. They don't know why they are what they are, other than it's been passed down, through the generations.
So a lack of self-awareness and
Yeah,
the true clarity on what they as an individual want for themselves.
that's right. And what they truly believe, and why they believe it.
That's interesting. I was listening to something just this morning. Somebody had read a part of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and they were explaining how you can be stupid and come from a wealthy family and be wealthy your whole life. And you can be highly intelligent and be poor because you come from a poor family. It's the subconscious programming that we receive when we're children that then recreates, remanifests, and reperpetuates the personal reality that we are living in, unless we become more self-aware and are able to open our minds and think differently and maybe even believe a little differently, and therefore obviously start doing differently, because doing creates results. And I thought that was pretty deep.
That is deep. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you're probably the only one that has a longer name than me. Good in the Head. I had to look at that several times because when I come up with Struggle, Grow, Succeed, I said, man, this is pretty long, but I need it. I need all of it. And I seen yours. I said, wow, because it's so eye-catching. Where did that come from?
Back in 2014, I was restarting my life, and I was listening to some Tony Robbins content. And honestly, in 2014, that's when I really started to listen and wanted to learn and expand out of the deep, dark depression I was caught in for all those years, And he said something that kind of caught my attention. He said, get out of your head or you're dead.
I've heard him say that.
And so I thought, you need to get good in the head or you're dead. And then it was born just like that. I thought,
Wow.
hey, that's kind of cool. So I kept it.
That is awesome. I had the privilege of getting to go hear Tony Robbins one time. A trainer, he just put on Facebook, he says, I'm going to Atlanta and I'm going to pay for 5 people to go hear Tony Robbins with me.
That's phenomenal.
I was the first one to say, I'll go. And so he paid for front row tickets, $1,400, and I got to sit right there and where you could reach out and touch Tony. And boy, that was powerful. It was
I want to grow up and be like your friend. That is so generous. And I think generosity unifies people for sure.
It does.
And what was that like? What was that experience like, seeing Tony Robbins? How many days was it? What they cover? What did you get from it?
It was amazing because I thought there was probably 10,000 people there, and I thought the crowd was pretty energized, right? And there was a couple of speakers came on. I've noticed that you are not a follower of one man, and that's how I am. I don't just follow one person. I have a lot of mentors that don't know they're mentors of mine that I pull from.
Cyber stalking them.
Yeah, that's right. But I've not been in this as long as you. Probably 2019 was when the little light switch in my brain clicked, and I started trying to make myself better. But what really got me, I listened to Dean Graziosi was there. I don't know if you know him, but
love him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's taught me a lot. He was there, and so there were several speakers. I can't remember exactly. It's probably a couple of years ago, but he came out and he said, "What's wrong with you people?" And everybody was like, "What?" He said, he said, I was walking back and forth behind the stage when these other speakers were out there, and there is no energy in here. What is wrong with you people? He said, I'm not going any further until we find out what's going on. And he started. And that was part of his thing. I didn't realize it. I said, man, they sound pretty loud to me. And let me tell you, he spent 30 minutes bringing the level of energy up in that room. And it was like cold chills. And it was amazing. There was so much energy in that room. People were just, you know, they were up out of their seats. They were just, you know, really being real. I think it just kind of released them. And then he was able to actually get through. And that taught me something. You know, people have to be in the mode of receiving before they can receive. And he wasn't going to deliver until the minds were where they could receive.
I love that. What did he do for that half hour? Because I'm a huge proponent of researching ways to re-energize and to come alive, especially in a world where so many things we do on a daily basis just kill our souls and seep the energy out of us, you know. So what are some practices that he used? I'm curious.
Well, you know, he's probably a master at that, and a lot of people make fun of him. He would make people get on their feet. And probably one of the biggest things that stood out to me, because I guess because I'm a musician, is he interjected music and sounds. And I watched his movement when he would move his arm. It was a key for those people back there to start playing music. So he would say something that was powerful, move his arm a certain way, and the music would play for about 10 seconds. And it was energizing music that made people move. And then he would start again, and he would do the same thing over and over. And after a while, you could just start feeling the energy level coming up, and people, you know, loosening up and just having them stand up and, you know, shout. And he loved to hear people as a whole group yell. So
10,000 of them, huh?
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on, but it was a good experience.
So
no walking on hot coals or anything.
Oh yeah, thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have done that with Tony Robbins.
Yes, they have.
That's interesting. So re-energizing through music, using music as a tool, and then movement, physical movement. So those are two really good ways. What are some other ways or practices or rituals that you've designed or that have worked well for you in your life that create momentum at the beginning of your day and allow you then to have the energy to just conquer your day?
I love that question. I told you about 3 years ago is when I started. I met a couple of people. I met a guy in the car industry, Sean Hayes, and we were doing vehicle trades from one dealer to another. And through him, I met a guy named Glenn Lundy, and he has a morning show called Rise and Grind. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's hashtag Rise and Grind.
Mm-mm.
So he came out with this. This is the 2020. It's a Rise and Grind planner, and inside, you know, you just write down your gratitude list. If I can get the camera, gratitude list, your goals, what you're going to do for the day, and at the top, it's got a little saying that was contributed by one of the members.
And that's a spiral notebook that he put together for people, huh?
Yeah, just a spiral notebook. So that's one of the things I started doing is getting up in the morning. So he's got what he calls the five things that you do. I think one of them is you don't hit the snooze button. The other one is you don't touch your phone the first hour that you're up. You know, you write down your gratitude and goal list. You do something physical, and you send a message out, a positive message out to someone. So that's he calls it the morning 5. So I started doing that. I started just getting up, and I don't get up at 5:30. His show's at 5:30. I don't get up that early, but I've started writing down the gratitudes and goals and just checking the boxes. And I had to force myself to do it. And after a while, it just become a habit. And I found
how long until it went from a struggle to being comfortable for you? How long did it take for you personally to create that and into a habit?
Probably a couple of months.
Okay.
You know, and I just pushed myself to do it then, and now I feel guilty if I don't, because the reason is because I know how powerful it is. And I think the most powerful part of that morning routine is gratitude. And so many things to be thankful for that we just like overlook, every single day.
Absolutely.
So I found out, and I would teach the people that where I was working. I got them all one of those, or my boss did. But I would tell them, I'd say, you have to start your day right. That's the most important thing of anything, because it sets the tone to how your day is going to go, whether you believe it or whether you don't. It's true. All the successful people that I've listened to, they all have some kind of routine they do in the morning. It's not all the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but most of them it does have to do with gratitude. And so that was huge to me. I found that if I would start, I'd tell those young people this. I said, you can start up here. I'll get my hand where you can see it. And this is where you are if you do the things. Feed your mind in the morning. You do gratitude, do goals, do whatever it is you do. Run a mile. It don't matter. But when you start your day, you're up here. If something bad happens, you only come down to here. On the other hand, if you get up late, you're going to work, putting your shirt on, you got a cup of coffee, you're spilling all over the place, and you get to work, you're only right here.
Yeah.
If something bad happens, it's going to take you out.
Yep.
So I found that starting your day right and doing a ritual, whatever it may be, is super important. But I feel like it really does have to include gratitude somewhere.
I love that. I absolutely agree with it too. The first time I heard about that practice was years and years ago. My dad had bought me a book called The Secret. I was going through a really rough time in life. And I read the book, found out that they had made a movie before the book came out. And so I bought the movie. Didn't have much money, but the book was phenomenal. So I was, I'll buy the movie. And it was awesome. I watched that in the background while I was getting ready every day for months. And every day I'd come out and there's my three sons, and they were just little guys, and they were just fascinated watching the same thing every day. That content, I believe, may have been very beneficial for them. And I didn't mean to. I was selfishly doing that just for me, but it also trickled down and benefited them.
Yes.
And I think in life, within the personal development realm, any level, anything that we do that's beneficial for us is going to trickle down, and it's going to affect everyone around us all day long. It's just the way it goes.
That's the whole point, right?
Absolutely.
That's the point for us to have an impact. And I was writing in my book the other day, and or somewhere, I can't remember, but what is your purpose for even being here if you don't impact someone else? It's like a waste. It's a waste of air. It's a waste of space. And so many people just feel like that they're unworthy. They can't be anything, or they can't do anything. But I think that's just a trick of the enemy that I feel like it is, because as long as you're kept down, how many people are losing because of it?
Yeah.
So, the more you do what you're meant to do, whatever that may be, the more impact you're going to have on others. And who knows what some of those people will do with their life.
That's beautiful. I love that. And gratitude, I've noticed at any time of the day, especially first thing in the morning, if you just go through a mental list or write it down, whatever, any gratitude practice that we complete first thing kind of sets us up and perpetuates momentum in a positive direction. And throughout the day, as things come at us, and you're talking about, we're way up here, and we start feeling ourselves slipping and how we're feeling and our emotions are changing, all we got to do to get back up there instantly is to just go through that list a few 10, 20 seconds, and then bam, we're there, and then some, just like that.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. And I have put it to the test, and that's why I believe in it. There's times, Pete, that you wake up and you just don't feel like it. You don't feel like going to work. You don't feel like doing this. And I recall one day I went to work. I was in a bad mood. I don't know if I had a squabble with my wife. I don't know if something happened, but I was just not good and didn't care. I was in like, I don't care. I'm not going to do this, just rebellious. And I could just feel that kind of a spirit in me. And I got to work, and I just looked at it because I kept my book at work. as well. And so I kept looking at it. I said, whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead. And I just started writing in it. And I could feel just what you're saying. I could feel that heaviness lift. And it changed my day just in doing that. I said, wow. I mean, it's not magic, but it worked like magic, and it changed that day and that outlook for me.
A few years back, Joe Dispenza came out and did a TED Talk, and he showed a video of a neural connection. Basically, it was a thought. And he said, well, these are kind of electrical in nature, and let me show you. And he had these neurons during the thought connect, and then bam, it lit up, and it was all in slow motion. And he said, now watch as a repetitious thought gets repeated over and over. And more of these neurons would reach out and they would touch. And they were being recruited from other huge bundles of neurons. And he described those huge bundles as thoughts that were no longer being thunk. And so the ones that were being thought about, they were recruiting and taking away the neural connections from those old thoughts to create this new one. And if we're able to redirect and hyper focus on something positive and empowering, then pretty soon all the disempowering negative thoughts that we have are deconstructed. They're destroyed in order to support and truncate this one new thought that we're focusing on. And I just loved that presentation.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
That's a good message, right? I mean, we're in control. We're not victims. We're in control of what we focus on and what we think about.
That's right.
For me, that was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's great. And so it's not magic, it's science.
Right? Yeah. And it's beautiful. It was really cool. It takes a while, obviously, like you were saying, a few months for that habit to form to where you almost felt, you said guilty when you don't do it. And basically, I mean, the neurochemistry within us is amazing. I mean, we create a new habitual pattern. And then when we don't do what we're doing consistently, all of a sudden it's uncomfortable for us because we're not getting that hit of dopamine. We're not getting that hit of this chemical cocktail, those chemicals and hormones that make us energized and come alive because we're doing something that we really believe in and that helps us. And we know it does.
Absolutely.
I love the science behind it, like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza. Those three in conjunction give seminars kind of like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi did. And I've only seen them. I've never really been to one before. But the messaging is, I mean, the human body is just amazing. And you think a thought and instantly up to 1,400 chemicals and hormones are injected into the bloodstream, not just in the brain, but in the gut microbiome, all throughout the body. And within 2 pumps of the heart, then these chemicals and hormones are spread throughout the entire body, which is up to 100,000 miles of blood vessels and veins within 2 pumps of the heart. And then that's a feeling, bam, just like that. The thought creates a feeling. The feeling is magnetic in nature and pulsates like outward from our body. They actually have machines now that detect this magnetic pulsating energy coming from us. Wow. It goes out into the ether or the void, actually amplifies and magnifies, and through something that is deemed, it's termed the law of attraction, we then attract more of what we're thinking about and focusing on consistently into our lives through people, things, situations, circumstances. So designing your day the way that you do through just following that 5-step in the planner is brilliant. And I love that you shared that. I'm so grateful. I'm curious, are you thinking about maybe designing a planner for Struggle, Grow, Succeed?
Yes. Well, when I started this, it kind of led me, I knew that I had things that I wanted to write. And my attention kind of went to children for a while. And I wrote this little book right here. It's called Struggle or Successes for Kids Too. Just tells a little bit about my life. It's a little small book. And,
is that available on Amazon, or where can people get that?
No, they can just get it from Struggle, Grow, Succeed. I've got them on there.
.com.
And yeah, and I've also got it in audio. You can get an audio free. It's on YouTube.
Nice.
So it's on there, and I read it myself. And so my wife and I come out with a success planner for kids.
Awesome. You've already done it. That is so cool.
I want to get my children started on the path, and
Nice.
and they love it.
These are 10 and 7, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a good age to start doing stuff like that.
It is. When I first started, they weren't really into it, but we just got back from my retirement vacation, and it done me so good. Even over there with us right on the beach, plenty of things to do. In the morning, I would see them first thing, writing in their little planner what I'm going to have fun doing today, and it sets them up. So I think it'll have an impact on them a lot. So I went kind of away from children, but you know what? With what's going on, I feel like I need to go back. Wow, I want to teach my children myself, not necessarily believe what I believe, like we were talking about earlier, but to not be indoctrinated by nothing,
or by just one thing out of billions.
One thing. That's right. There's so many things. I mean, you're a brilliant man, and I know that I can tell by a lot of things. You read a lot, and you have a vast knowledge. And so I think that's what stood out to me about you. With some of the posts that you made, I could tell that. I said, this man's a word. I told my wife, I said, I think this guy loves to read. I've always hated to read, but I have, in the past 2 years, I've made myself read a book a month. I've read more books in the last 2 years than I read in my whole life. And it's powerful.
Makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Robin Sharma said something that I super love. And it was, to read a book is to meditate with the author, to absorb all that they've amassed, all those decades sometimes of wisdom, and to be able to download that, listening to an audiobook within, one day even is just such a blessing.
Oh, it is. It is.
Top 3 books that you've read so far. What do you think?
Boy, that's hard. It would have to be, I know everybody usually says the same ones, Think and Grow Rich, all these other, Dean Graciosi's book,
Millionaire Success Habits.
Yep, that one. The Success Habits, Millionaire Success Habits, was nothing like I thought it would be. The cover is so deceiving. It was about, just changing yourself. And then I found the older book he wrote was Totally Fulfilled. And that was a great book. One of the most entertaining books I've read in a long time was Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah, I just gave that to my dad a couple months ago. He loved it.
Oh my goodness, I love that book, and I got the audio. And
does he read that?
Yes,
because I just love that accent.
I told my wife, I said, that is 6 hours of a movie, because he puts everything into it. And I'll have to say, that is one of the most fun books I've ever read or listened to.
Nice.
But there's been several that's really had an impact on me. And I'll never go without saying the Bible has had an impact on my life too, as well.
Sure. And especially being raised in a religious setting like that, and learning about spirituality, going to church, connecting with so many humans. There's a new belief that I adopted this last year. And basically, everyone always says, oh, we're all one. Oh, what does that really mean? It doesn't mean crap unless you're practicing certain things and making it true.
Right.
But the belief was basically, anytime that we connect on any level with any other living thing, we're truly just reconnecting with our higher self, with our divine nature. And I almost see all living things now as equal in light, energy, and love, and just expressing themselves as beautifully as they possibly can. We're all doing our very best. And having this belief about all living things and other people has really empowered me to see everyone in a totally different light and a different perspective. and to cultivate compassion and empathy, understanding, kindness, generosity of heart, and just helps me to think in more empowering and positive ways than I used to.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea that, yeah, we are all one. We're all equals. And our human form, I mean, who we identify as while in these bodies, that is perfect just the way it is. And it can get even better.
Right.
But our true identity, what we really are, that is just totally perfect, unchanging, divine in nature, always has been, always will be, and we can separate those two out if we choose to. There's so many different theories or beliefs out there, but to be able to remain open to all things and attached to no thing is the true definition, I think, of being open-minded. And I get caught up in those old patterns and habits sometimes. And, oh, no, my way is the best way. And I'm like, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
There is no one way. There's unlimited ways of thinking and doing things and being. And it's up to us as individuals, I think, to really discern what that is for us. We don't have to follow anyone. We're here to be creators. And
Right. That's right.
our personal reality is our creation, unless we choose to continue to allow to remain entertained instead of creating, and just allow the reperpetuation, recreation, and remanifestation that comes through commercials or the social media or what other people want, what other people think they're trying to shove down our throats all the time. So
That's right.
life is interesting. And like you said, the older we get, the more wisdom we realize we were missing out on because we just weren't hearing it back then. And that's okay.
We were. And it's aggravating because I would come home, I'd tell my wife, I said, these kids don't get it. I mean, I'm trying to tell them, and wishing that I was 25 again and know this, because it's like, here is a path that you will definitely succeed in. But I remember back when I said, I wasn't hearing it either. So I decided, quit trying to change people and just plant your seed, because
Love
one
that.
day, as they get older, one day, hopefully that seed will still be in there, and they can pull from it. So
Yeah.
that's my goal, just plant seeds. Whether people change in front of my eyeballs or not, it doesn't matter, as long as I think I do my job as a farmer and plant the correct seed.
I love that analogy. That's awesome. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Even if the teacher passed on and all that's left is a YouTube video or a book that was written decades before they passed.
Oh, so true. Hey, how about Jim Rohn?
Right? One of my favorite mentors, listen to him all the time. His mentor was amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
I
there's
had to
only
go.
one video that I can find of his mentor, and John Earl Schoaf. I don't know. There's just so many people to learn from. Who have been the biggest influences for you in your life and empowered you the most?
Well, my parents, for sure, as far as giving me a foundation. As I started learning more about making myself better, I just say it's a shame that I went all these years without realizing that there was nobody telling me. And that's why I say plant the seed, because I don't remember anybody saying things, or maybe as I was in the wrong circle, I don't know. But I have found, like you said, Earl Schaff, how do you say his last name?
Schoaf.
Schiff. You can't listen to Jim Rohn without wondering about who that man is, because of the impact he had on his life. And I got to Jim Rohn through Dean and through Tony, and I got to them through someone else. And that's why I do not believe in being a man follower, because these paths lead you to other people, and it leads you backwards to where things started. And so I've done the same thing. I may have watched the same video that you did, and I was thinking, this guy helped this kid, and now this kid has impacted so many people's lives, and those people have impacted even more lives, and it's like a backward funnel. And that's why I said earlier, you know, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you don't know how many people you're not impacting. So as an one person, I can't say that there's one. I can say that in different places, I needed what a person was saying. There's a lady, her name is Danelle Delgado. I've watched her in the last several years just explode with what she does, and she's got a story that's unbelievable. And I met her through Glenn. So all these people were connected in some way. And that's what I love about it. You know, you say open your mind and stuff. And if you do, if there's so many people that's being successful, then something is right. And so that's why
Yeah, that's the thing too. You can backtrack and reconstruct, like, where did they start and what
yeah,
got them to where they are. And a lot of the habits, beliefs, perspectives, are similar, but they're not identical. So there's so
right.
many paths to success, that it's
So,
incredible.
so many. I will say this, you know, there's struggle, grow, succeed. Before the struggle comes a change. And I think that is the most necessary thing. Nothing happened different in my life until I decided I wanted to change. And as soon as I decided I wanted to change, there come that struggle that you were asking me about at the very beginning. When did you start to struggle? Anytime you change something, you know, there comes a struggle.
Mhm.
And so I just picked up from the struggle because it gets attention. So many people say, I'm struggling. Uh, and I have a different definition of struggle, but anyhow, I think change is where it starts.
What is your definition of struggle?
My definition of struggle is to climb and to claw and to resist until you make it through whatever you're doing. Um, I feel like a lot of people look at struggle as, oh, I'm broke, my car's broke down, I don't have a job, I've been sick, my whole family's sick, I'm just struggling so bad.
Oh, that's just
And
life.
that's life. Struggle to me is like if you see someone that's bound in ropes or chains and they're pulling to get free and they keep pulling to get free until they are free, that is my definition of struggle.
I like that. Another belief that I had adopted quite a few years ago was that the universe was designed from the beginning to conspire on our behalf. And the way that it conspires on our behalf, many times, in my opinion, is it kicks our ass. Life kicks our ass. And there's a purpose behind it. A lot of us will just lay over and give up and die. And that's one way to handle it. Another way to handle it is to become better at handling what life throws at us
Yes.
and designing your day to start out up here, like you were talking about, by using planners like the one you designed for kids. That's a perfect way to meet the struggle and turn it into a success.
Yes.
And I love that that's what you're all about. And the fact that you are focused on kids is mind blowing to me, because how much money is in the personal development realm, and it's all about adults, right? Well,
Right.
if we can just forget about the money and focus on what's truly important, and the babies that are programmed subconsciously and downloading every bit of information that comes at them in the first 7 years of their life, that is way more important, in my opinion.
Yes.
Truly.
It really is. It really
So,
is.
well, what you're doing is really great. You, as part of Struggle, Grow, Succeed, have a few groups on Facebook. Are there any other places that people can look to join your community?
Um, I have a YouTube. I would love for people to check that out. And I've been trying to find a home, and you don't ever know what's going to happen with social media. And I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket.
Mm.
My oldest son is a musician, and he told me about a site called Patreon. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a community of creators, music, writers, whatever. And I recently launched on Patreon. So there I have offers, you know, small offers up to big offers of things that that I want to do and can do to help folks. But yeah, Facebook, Struggle, Grow, Succeed. I've got a page. I've got a couple of groups. I've got just opened up a membership group, which you're part of, and I appreciate that very much. I wanted that membership group for people who are just serious in needing some help, and they feel like they can talk about it without it being spread all over social media.
Being judged.
Yeah, being judged. That's right. So, you know, you and a couple of other people are very important. That's I didn't even want to do it on my own. I wanted to have other people because just what we've been talking about, different perspectives. And so that's getting started pretty good. So if anybody, you know, would like to join for some real talk, that's a good place. We're going to have some live stuff coming there, but I'm working on a book. Don't know when it's going to be finished. It's supposed to already be finished, but I keep adding chapters to it. So I don't know. That's going to be, I think that'll be my legacy because I've put my heart into it.
I can't wait to read it. Jim Rohn was talking to his dad one time. I think it was like his 84th or his 87th birthday, something like that. And he said, "Oh, I feel tired and old." And he goes, "Dad, whoa. Listen, this is the opportunity for you to create the next year with all of the wisdom and experience of all the other 80 something years before." And his dad's all, I needed to hear that. Thanks, son. You know, and then went forward and had a really great year that he created. He designed it and created it.
Awesome.
So strugglegrowsucceed.com. People can check it out there. Facebook, Patreon. I think maybe I'll have to go check that out. I haven't even looked at it, I'll be honest.
As a writer, I think you'd enjoy that.
That's cool. And yeah, I'm really excited to read the book that you come out with. I love downloading knowledge from other people that may actually help me to create a better personal reality for myself, because everything that I create benefits or does the opposite to everyone around me. Like you're talking, the lack of doing creates a result. Doing creates a totally different result. So results don't lie.
No, they don't lie.
Now, one thing we haven't covered yet was the wheel of life that Zig Ziglar was talking about, all the different areas of life, you know, the social aspect, communication, our love relationships, financial, spirituality, our personal development. The main thing that I'm looking at now, personally, is the very center of that wheel. Each one of those areas of life is the spoke that goes out, but at the very center, we have what I believe is possible to be the self-image. And the quality of self-image that we have about ourselves, how we define who and what we are, I think directly correlates with the quality of how we perform in each of those areas of our lives, which then dictates the quality of our personal reality, our actual lives that we're living here on earth. What would you suggest to kids to create a more empowering self-image for themselves?
Oh, I think they, number one, they've got to believe in themselves. And you know, we've heard all through our lives, and you know, you can be anything you want to be. What are you going to be when you grow up? We've heard all those things, but nobody shows them how. That's what's amazing. You know, go ahead, go out there and be a doctor, go out there and be this, be that. But without showing them the path, they're just going to be wandering around like we did. Just, I wonder what I'm going to do for a living. I wonder what I'm going to be when I grow up. I want to be this. And I think that's why they change so much. They're not actually, I just really believe in the power of pen and paper. I believe when you start writing it down, you know, it comes from that paper, that ink, that pen through your hand. You talk about energy. I believe it just flows all the way up through your heart and into your mind. And you can say things all day long, because who can hold you accountable for what you say? Nobody, because all you have to do is deny it, right? I
Yeah.
didn't say that.
It used to be
But
you
when
get punched in the mouth, but now people say whatever they want. There's no
they say what
repercussions.
they want to, and then they say they didn't say it.
Yeah.
But when it's written down, it's there. And I've tried to do it on computer, on phone. It's not the same. That pen and paper has got power. And so I think that helping kids do that and start writing about themselves or drawing about themselves. I have a niece that spends a lot of time with us, and she finds that peace in drawing, and has turned into a great artist just from sitting there, filling her space and her time with something that helps her to think. So there's a lot of different ways. It depends on what really resonates with a young person, but I think it's our responsibility as adults, as parents, as grandparents to teach our children.
So getting a pen and paper, maybe even a little notebook, and answering questions like, what type of a person do I want to be? What characteristics, what attributes do I want to develop within myself? Or maybe journaling, what really frustrated me today? How did I deal with it? And then tomorrow, if it happens again, how can I deal with it in a manner that's even better than I did it today? So answering questions, seeking clarity on what they want as individuals, as children. And then something that I know that you've done as well is seeking out people that are high performers, that are our idea, of what success is, who've got it all figured out, or at least seem to, and then to deconstruct their process of actually getting from point A to point B. Like, how did you get to where you are today? How did you become all of those things, And then to be able to design a day that has a habit or two that we want to play around with or explore, and then try it out. What are the results of, what if I practice gratitude every day for the next 2 or 3 months? What's going to happen? How will I feel differently?
Yeah.
What people will respond better to me if I'm coming at them from a place of gratitude rather than anger or frustration? What are the most important habits and beliefs that you've adopted since you've begun your personal development growth period?
Well, what you were just saying about seeking out the successful people. One thing I guess that has stood out to me is the really, really successful people that attracts me are people who do things for others, who give, who don't just collect and say, "Look at me, look what I have." And Pete, I have found that the successful people, if you think about them, they all want to talk about their story. And because I kept hearing, "Oh, this guy's got a great story. This guy's got a great story. You should hear his story." And I said, "What about these stories?" And they tell the stories because that is the best part of all of it, is going through those hard times, like you said, getting the crap kicked out of you, uh, trying to do things without anything, being broke. That is it's the journey. It's the journey more than getting there, because these people who are super wealthy, I used to call them greedy because it seemed like they wanted more and more and more. They just can't get enough. And after a while, the money it's just an after effect. They're just getting money because they keep moving forward, wanting to do different things. And that's how I see it now with a lot of people that I look at that are wealthy or super wealthy. They give a lot. And, I'm sure you heard this saying, if you grew up in a religious home, you can't outgive God. You can try to give all you want to. The more you give, the more things will come back to help you, which enables you to give more. So I would say giving is a huge, even if it's of your time. I don't have money, but I can give my time. I can give the lessons that I've learned. There's a lot of things that I can give. I can sing for
Kindness.
somebody if they listen.
Yeah. I love that idea that we can give. I mean, if we don't have something to give, we can't give it. But if we acquire wealth, we can begin to give wealth. Like your friend that said, "Hey, I'm bringing 5 people with me. Who's coming?" Wouldn't it
Yep.
be great to have that as a goal 5 years from now? I'm taking my friends to Tony Robbins or someone else, or just
Right.
opening a door and giving a smile to a stranger. That's giving. That's a giving of our energy. This is my light and my love. I give it to you.
I'm glad, and this is great for this subject. It's just proof again. But in my job, I was a training manager. This guy owns a company, and he does sales training for car dealerships. And he spent $1,400 on me to go see Tony Robbins. And that was 2 or 3 years ago. And before I retired, I was able to get his training program in the store that I left to a tune of $35,000. Look at his return.
Wow.
He spent $1,400 on me, and a couple of years later, he's in our store now at the tune of $35,000. So yeah, it comes back, and it comes back bigger and better.
So the message then is giving is an investment.
It is. It's investment.
I really like that. Before we close, is there anything else you'd like to cover? Any messages you want to share or invite people to do?
No, I think you and I could probably talk for hours and hours.
Days and days.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure, Pete, actually having to have a good conversation with you. And there's a lot of things about you that I would like to know. But hopefully I'll get you on my podcast, and I'll turn the tables on you. Let you answer questions.
Anytime. I'd love that. I really appreciate the human that you choose to be every day that you wake up, the day that you designed that then created who you are now that you can share with the whole world. And I really hope that people will go to your website, strugglegrowsucceed.com, check you out on Facebook and YouTube, and really kind of try to seek out and learn from you what could empower them to create an even better personal reality for themselves. I remember back in the day, Ram Dass was telling this story. He was a psychologist, and he had people come in that he was helping, and he got a lot of self-confidence from being a helper. I'm the helper, and down here, you're the helpee. I'm helping you. And years later, he realized that he would actually sabotage some of the people that were getting better that never needed him anymore, because he no longer got that hit of, oh, I'm no longer a helper. Now I have no value, So he decided, instead of being a helper, to just be a friend and to empower others to help themselves. And that's how I see you running what you're doing. It's, you're not looking at others as less than or not equal to. You're looking at them as equals that you want to empower with things that you've learned and experienced in order to help and save themselves and create a better life for themselves. I remember years ago, I had just gone through a horrible breakup, and I came across this quote, and it said, "I never wanted you to save me. I just wanted you by my side while I save myself." And
Wow.
I think that we can all do that for one another in some regard.
We need to.
Absolutely. So goodinthehead.com. Good in the Head is also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I hope that people will go there, check it out, share the content, and especially interviews like this with Charles Baldwin. I mean, they're very empowering, very energizing. I know doing this, speaking with people like you, this is my thing. I love it. I just light up. My whole rest of my day now is going to be phenomenal, just because I'm riding on the wave of your emotional energy and your wisdom. And I get to think about these things and just get re-energized all day long. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Keeps us good in the head, doesn't it?
That's the goal. Stay good in the head.
I love it.
Right. Thank you so much for being a guest, and hang on just one moment, and we'll talk just a little more if that's all right.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to all the people that are supporting Good in the Head, Struggle, Grow, Succeed, and all of the other many content providers out there. Thank you.